Okay, to help you prepare for the final exams, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the bonds. Okay, hopefully through my lecture, you will have a better understanding about what a bond is. Okay, so what is a bond? Bond is kind of a common approach to raise monies. Okay, so the government may need extra money to have like infrastructure projects, right? So they need to probably raise money. Maybe Canadians are not paying enough tax, so the government has to issue this debt, the bond, right, to raise money. So basically, that's the money. It's an investment you purchased, right? The stock market can be very risky. The bond market is less risky, right? So it's a form of investment. So it's actually a contract, okay? And in the contract, it outlines the terms of the bond. So when the bond is matured, and what is the rate of interest, right? So this rate of interest is often called coupon rate, okay? And when this interest will be paid, right? They will be very clear in terms of will that be paid annually on a date, or it will be paid semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, right? So it's really depending on how they set up the contract. So when I think about bond, I was thinking about the 007, the secret agency, right? James Bond. So there are three different types of bond. The premium, okay. So the premium bond is when the issuing price of the bond is higher than the face value, okay. So what is the face value? So when you purchase a bond, there's a face value. Let's say they're issuing a bond for $1 million, right? So if it's issued at a par, and then the price the buyer will pay would be equal to the face value, right? 1 million. But oftentimes you notice that the bond price is not the same as the face value. Okay, and I'm going to explain it why in the next slide. So here the conceptual terms: if the bond price is higher than the face value, it's a premium. If it's equal, it's a par bond. If the bond price is lower than the face value, it's a discount bond. Okay. So the bond price is actually a present value calculation. Okay, because when you purchase a bond, okay, you sacrifice a present cash outflow, right? So you pay your cash to the bond issuer, right? That's a cash outflow from the investor's perspective. Okay, so you sacrifice this current cash outflow in exchange for the future cash inflows, right? What are the future cash inflows? So that would be including the interest payment that was made by the bond issuer to you, right? That would be at a regular period, right? Maybe annually, semi-annually. And at the end of the maturity date, the bond issuer will also return you the face value of the bond, okay? So you can see that when I purchase a bond, I sacrifice currently with a cash flow, okay? It's a cash outflow to the bond issuer in exchange for the future cash inflows that I'm going to receive from the bond issuers. So the idea here is, what is the bond price? At what price the bond issuer will set up the price? So that basically, that price will equal to the present value of the future cash inflows the investors will receive. Okay, so behind the calculating, right, the mechanics is actually it's relevant. You have payment is relevant, and the face value is relevant, and of course the N and I is relevant. Okay, so you can see that it's a two-term addition, right? So you have a payment times a factor called annuity factor, okay? annuity factor, and this factor will be determined by the I and N, okay? The present value annuity factor, okay? And this PF is a present value factor. It's also determined by I and N, okay? So basically, the present value is a calculation of payment times a discounted factor plus face value times a discounted factor, okay? And those two factors will be determined by the I and N, okay? So that's how basically the calculation for the formula of present value. So from this formula, you can see that we're going to use payment, okay? We're going to use future value, okay? And we're going to use I, the interest rate. This is the yield, okay? This is the yield. This is the yield rate, not the coupon rate. And N is the number of the payment periods, okay? Okay, so bond price. When coupon rate equals to yield rate, so you're going to have a par bond. So the bond price equals to face value. So what's the coupon rate? Coupon rate is the interest rate promised by the bond issuer in the contract. Okay? So that doesn't change, right? If you issue a bond for 20 years, right? That coupon rate doesn't change. Okay, so that's written in the contract. What is the yield rate? Yield rate will be, if you use a different word, maybe a discount rate or maybe a market rate. So basically, this is what the market rate, what is the market is promising, right? So the coupon rate is what the bond issuer promising, okay? And that's constant. And the yield rate is what the market promises. And this market rate is changing all the time, okay? So the yield rate is changing, right? In Canada, right, in the last year, in 2022, right, in the year, the interest rate has gone up by 4%, right? Isn't that crazy? So that yield rate will be up by 4%, right? So the yield rate is changing, but the coupon rate is in the contract, it's written, it's signed, it doesn't change, okay? So when the bonds are issued, if the coupon rate equals to the yield rate, so the bond price equals the face value. If the yield rate is higher than the coupon rate, so the price will be a discount price. On the opposite, if the yield rate is lower than the coupon rate, then you would have a premium. Okay, so why is like that? Why is like that? Okay, so let's go think about this. So when the yield rate is higher than coupon rate, so what we are saying that is the market promise a higher rate than the bond issuer. Okay, so the bond issuer promise you a coupon rate of 5%, but the yield rate, the market rate is 10% elsewhere, right? And so the face value is $1,000, right? I will not invest in the bond, right? I won't pay $1,000 to the bond because I can invest $1,000 elsewhere to make 10%. Why should I invest into this bond issuer to earn 5%, right? So I want to go, the investors always pursue the higher interest rate, right? So interest payment, right? So in that case, when the market rate, the yield rate is higher than the coupon rate, right? Nobody's going to buy from the bond issuer at the face value, okay? So if some people doesn't buy, if your customer doesn't buy from you, what are you going to do, right? If nobody wants to buy from your product, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to lower your price. You're going to give a discount, okay? So therefore, in order to attract the investor to buy your bond with a lower coupon, with a coupon rate that is lower than the market, you have to discount your bond price to be lower than the face value, okay? So when yield rate is higher than coupon rate, it's a discount, okay? So on the opposite, if the yield rate is lower than coupon rate, so this is the scenario that when the bond issuer promise the investors an interest rate that is higher than the market. So in that case, everyone would want to buy from this investor, right? Because it promises higher rate. When you have over demand, right? When everyone wants to buy from you, okay, what are you gonna do, right? You're gonna increase your price. So that's why it's called a premium here. So when you are promising a coupon rate that is higher than the market rate, you're gonna attract all the people here. So you have to issue the bond at a price that is higher than the face value. Okay, so that's a premium. So this is very interesting. So basically, it's kind of like a seesaw, right? Seesaw situation. If the market rate is going up, okay, the bond price will be going down. Okay, if the yield rate going up, the market will go down. Okay, if the yield rate, the market rates go down, the bond price will go up. Okay, so that's kind of something maybe interesting for you to remember. So with this, let's go through some examples. The first question, $1,000 face value, coupon rate is 5%, and paying out annually for 5 years, with similar bonds having a yield to maturity of 2%. So the last information is just telling you that what is the yield, right? For similar bonds that carrying amount, taking the same level of risk, the yield through maturity is 2%. So therefore, for this bond, we are going to use the same yield rate, 2%. Okay, so in any scenario like this, you have to figure out what is the face value, what is the payment, what is N, what is I. And in this case, you are trying to figure out what's the bond price. So that's the present value, okay? Okay, so in this case, what's the face value? Face value would be $1,000, okay? The face value is $1,000. What is the payment? Okay, well, the payment is annual payment, and the coupon rate is 5%. Remember, this payment is a cash flow from the bond issuer, not from the market. Okay, this interest payment is a cash flow paid from the issuer. So therefore, you use the rate promised by the issuer, which is the coupon rate. So therefore, here to calculate payment, don't use 2%. You're going to use the coupon rate 5%. So 5 coupon rate times face value, 5% times 1,000, that's $50. Okay. And what's N? Well, 5 years. So N equals 5. What's I? I is the discount rate, the yield rate, right? The market rate. So in this case, we use 2%. Okay. So now, can you make some predictions? So you know the coupon rate is 5%. The yield rate is 2%. Okay. So you know that the coupon rate is higher than the yield rate. So the bond issuer promised higher interest rate than the market. So everybody is going to want to have it, right? So the bond issuer will raise the price. So before do any calculation, you should expect that your present value, the price, should be higher than the face value, 1,000. Okay. So now you can take out your calculator. Okay, and then you're gonna do 1,000, just price 1,000, and then price face value button, and $50 price payment button, and N5 price N button, and 2% price 2, and then price IY button, and then price compute. You figure out present value, that is $1,141.40. Okay, and it turned out verifies our prediction, right? It is a premium. It's more than $1,000, right? Because coupon rate 5% is higher than the yield 2%. Okay. In a similar scenario, this is a premium situation. In a similar scenario, okay, let's take a look at what if the yield rate is 5%, not 2%, okay? So if the yield rate is 5%, so my I should be 5%. And if you do the calculation using your calculator, which number you're gonna get, right? You're gonna get, because the coupon rate is 5%, yield rate is 5%, they are equal. So your price should equal to the face value. So even without using my calculator, I know this result should be 1,000. Okay. If you don't believe me, then plug in all these numbers, try to see what the calculator tells you. Okay. So this would be at a bar, right? Because the price equals the face value. Okay, now what if we keep raising the yield rate to 8%? Okay, well, if the yield rate is 8%, I is 8%, and now you do a calculation. Now it is a discount because 8% yield rate is higher than coupon rate. So now it will be a discount. So the present value will be lower than 1,000. If you go through the calculator, you're gonna get a number $880.22. Okay, so I'm using these three examples to show you that when the yield rate changing, okay, the price will change, right? When the yield rate equal coupon rate, the price equals face value. Okay, if the yield rate is higher than coupon value, okay, then it's gonna be a discount. If the yield rate is lower than the coupon value, it's gonna be a premium. Okay. So far we have done this calculation. This is another example. Consider a bond. The face value is 1,000 with a coupon rate of 10%, and the coupon paid annually. The bond have 5 years to maturity. The yield to maturity is 11%. What is the value of the bond? Well, now let's go through this again. Face value is 1,000. Payment, you use coupon rate, which is 10%, because it's paid annually. So you're going to use the annual coupon rate, 10% times face value of 1,000. So the payment is 100. And how many years? N equals 5. And I is 11%. Okay. So now you have a yield rate higher than the coupon rate. So you are issuing at a discount. Okay. And once we plug in this number into the calculators, we get the result is $963.04. Now, so far we have been dealing with all annually, right? The payment is all made annually. What if, in this scenario, what if this is a semi-annual situation? What if this is a semi-annual situation? So same bond, face value 1,000, coupon rate 5%, 10%, paid semi-annually, 5 years to mature, yield to maturity 11%. So in this calculation, right, the payment period is more frequent, right? So your face value is the same, is 1,000, but your coupon rate, the payment, right? So the 10% is annual payment, but for semi-annual payment, you're going to use 5%. So 10 divided by 2, 5% times 1,000, that's $50. And N, the number of periods. So there are 5 years semi-annually, 5 times 2 equals 10 payments. And I, the same idea, 11% divided by 2, right? Because the 11% is annual interest rate. So that's 5.5%. Now I'm running this again. It's going to be a discount, and this time the value is $962.31. And then you may be wondering, in the previous example, it's more, right? So 963. How come now it become 962? Okay. So the idea here is that, remember, when your your semi-annual interest rate is 5.5%, right? Because of the compounding rate, your real yield rate would be higher, right? Your real yield rate would be higher than 11%. So when your yield rate increase, the price will go down, right? Therefore, the price now is lower by $1. So from $963 to $962. Okay. Okay, so this is the last question. The 6% coupon bonds of XYZ Incorporation are selling for $1,040, has a yield rate of 4.85%. How many years will it be until these bonds mature? So you can see that we are not always calculating the bond price, the present value. Sometimes we know the present value, the price, because the price is what they are selling for. 1,040, right? But now they want you to know N, how many years, and they're assuming this is semi-annual compounding. So then, what is the present value? Present value is $1,040. Payment now, because it's a semi-annual, right? Semi-annual compounding, so the 6% has to be divided by 2, because 6% is annual. So 3% times 1,000 is 30. Future value is 1,000, and I would be also the annual rate of 4.85 divided by 2, 2.425%. I want to know N, right? That's what I'm trying to do. I want to warn you when you correcting these numbers in, you have to be careful with the sign, right? The payment is what you receive, is a cash inflow. So this is a positive. The future value is what the bond issuer will pay you in the future. So that's also a cash inflow. But the present value, the bond price, is a cash outflow. Okay, you are paying out the money. So this dollar, the direction is different from 30 and 1,000, right? 30 and 1,000 is the money you are receiving, and the $1,040, this is the money you are paying. So when you enter this amount, make sure the present value, you have to enter a negative here. So once you enter this number in, you should get N of 7.7, right? But this would be a semi-annually, right? And to figure out the years, divided by 2. So it turned out to be 3.85 years, okay? So this is what I can offer you about the Chapter 12 bonds. Happy study.